So there we go, we get the Apollo Save tool up.
We then go
running
into the User Tools section, and we go to Activate PlayStation for accounts.
and then we just select the account we want to activate. In this case, I'll use the new
And
one
we just
that I
press
just
R2
created.
for done, and it will activate it using a default
ID, and there we go, account successfully activated. A system reboot
might be required.
Now, I'm pretty sure it is required, so if we go
Exit
ahead out
and
of the Apollo Save tool, we can try opening the browser and closing it to refresh. That might
Enough,
be. We'll see, check for updates.
No,
okay, so we're gonna have to reboot our PS4
So
we're
here.
gonna go ahead and restart. Okay, so I've rebooted my PS.
We're
not running the jailbreak yet, but we have rebooted. So now if I press options on Bloodborne again and check for update, as you can see, we now get update is available. I can go to downloads. And it's now downloading that Bloodborne update 1.09 8.5 gigs is now being downloaded to the console. So that's how you fix that error. You just need to
Account
have
on
your system, one account on the PS4. That is activated, and it can be activated with a random ID. As long as it's activated, you'll be able to download game updates. Now, obviously, if you have a DNS and in your settings, if you're using Nomadix DNS, which blocks UH system updates and game
You'll
updates,
have
to take that off in order to download the updates. Now, the good thing is with 11.0, most of the PS4 games that are available for the PS4, you can just download the latest update like this just by checking for updates, downloading the latest update, and you will be good to go. Most games are like this now because 11.0 is such a high firmware, and most of the games that are available for the PS4 are old now and are continuing to be updated that often. And therefore, the latest updates will work on 11.0, and you can just download them and run your game with the update installed. I should also mention right here that if you're worried about accidentally installing a system update by connecting to the internet, remember that Goldhen blocks system updates, so it tried to download 11.50, but it failed because Goldhen blocks it even when you're not using Goldhen. We're not even running Goldhen right now. The update is still being blocked because it's persistent. But as you can see, Bloodborne has now been successfully installed, so we should be able to check. Right here, go to information on the game. And it is on 1.09, so it has been successfully updated. So if we run Bloodborne now, it should launch and it should run just fine. Because the latest update for Bloodborne 1.09 came out a long time ago, and there's not been a new in a very long time. Therefore, it runs on 11.0 without any issues. So if we play offline, we can see the app version in the bottom right hand is version 9, so we are updated. So the reason why I mentioned the whole thing about being on the latest update and why we're able to run it is that there are some games on the PS for where the latest update for the game requires a higher firmware to run. So I have an update for Red Dead Redemption 2, the latest version. So when I checked for update on Red Dead 2, it said version 132 was available, ready to be installed, as you can see there. So there we go, we've got our disconcerting. So if I go over to downloads update, I click start. You can see this is the problem. So update file for this application has been downloaded. To update the application, you must update the system software. So this is a problem that you'll run into on certain games. Games that are frequently updated may require a higher firmware in order to install that update. So the problem is Red Dead Redemption to update 1.30 to requires you to be on 11.0 to firmware, and of course, we need to stay on 11.0 in order to remain with the jailbreak on the PS4. So we can't install 1.30 so what we need to do is install an older update, whatever the previous update was, 1.31, 1.30, whatever it is. And we can install that update and get that working on 11.0, just not the latest version. So unfortunately, this process is a little bit more complicated because, you can't just search for an older update by checking for updates on the PS4. You'll need to actually download the older version of the update manually and install it using like the Gold 10 Debugged Settings Package installer. So let's go ahead and look at how we can do that here. So if I go ahead particular and get update file, since we can't install it anyway, there's no point in having that on there. So we've got the game on the base version right here, version 1.00. So what we need to do is switch on over to the computer. We're gonna head to orbispatches.com, the PlayStation for Game Update database. And in here, we're gonna search for our version of the game, so Red Dead Redemption. To now, there's a bunch of different versions. US version EU version, Japanese version, there's 2 European versions as well. So you need to check to see which version of the game you actually have, so you can see on my PS. It shows the title ID at the bottom. USA 08519 version 1.00. Now, you can find that out if yours isn't showing by going to the settings and going to the cheat settings and scrolling down to show title ID. And you want to make sure you're either showing only ID or title ID and app version. And then once you have that enabled, it will show you the title ID of the game. You can also find it on the game disc as well as the spine of the cover, so 08519 is this European version here, so that's the version of the game I have. I'll select that option. And that will take me over here, and this lists all of the different updates. And it also tells you what the required firmware version is, so you can see 1.32 is the latest update that we were trying to download directly from Sony's servers. But it requires 11.02, which is why we weren't able to install it on our PS4. However, if we look down at update version 1.31, this only requires firmware 960. So we can easily install this on our 11.0 PS4, so all we need to do is click on 1.31. This will give us all of the links. We can then click this button here to copy all package links, and then we can just paste these in a download manager. So the download manager I recommend is gonna be JDownloader 2. You don't have to use this, you can use something else, Downloader 2 is my preferred download manager for downloading package files. So if you go into the link grabber, you can right click and add new links. And then it will basically paste everything in your clipboard in here. If not, you can just paste it right in, and these are all of the different parts. Now the thing with game updates is that they're split into 4 gigabyte parts, so if your game update is larger than 4 gigs, it will be in multiple parts here. So we need to download each part. So that's why a download manager makes it easier. So if we click continue, that will add all of the links in here. So there's all of the parts. And then if we highlight these by clicking and dragging all of them, we can move them all into one folder by right-clicking and going to other, and then move to a new package. And then we can just give this a name, and that moves them all in here, so we got all of the parts that will be in one place. So from here, we can just click button, and it will start downloading all of those updates, and it should be quite fast because this is downloading the updates directly from the official servers. For some reason, Sony does not delete the older updates. So the older updates are all still there on the server, but the PS4 is only capable of finding the latest update. And when you search for updates on itself, so we're actually just downloading these directly from Sony servers. The PS4 itself. Okay, and once all of the parts have been downloaded, you can just right-click on the folder and open Download Directory. And that will take you to the directory where all of the parts have been downloaded to. So we've got them all in here now. One of the problems with this method is that we can't install these one by one. We need to actually merge all of these parts into one final package that can then be installed on the PS4 to get the game updated. So to do this, we can use a program like Tools, which I've covered in a previous video. If you open this up, I'll leave it linked in the description. You just right-click on the run.cmd and run it as administrator. That will install everything. And once it's installed, whenever you right-click on a package, you'll have this PS4 Tools menu. So all you need to do is right-click. So the _0 package making, all of the parts are in the same folder, which you can right-click on the first part, and then go to PS4 Tools. And then you have the option down here to merge package parts. You're just gonna select that. And then that should identify all of the different parts here. So there we go, 01 to 3, 4, and 5, and it is now merging them into one file, so you just wait for this to complete. Okay, and once it's done, we can press any key to continue. And we have our merged package file here, 21 gigabytes. All we need to do is copy that over to a USB drive. So we're gonna grab ourselves a drive, copy it to the root of the USB. You can, of course, just copy it over using the remote package installer. In fact, with the remote package installer, you actually don't need to merge together the parts into one file. You can actually install them all one by one. Okay, so now that it's copied, you know the drill by now. We're just going to USB drive and plug it into our PS4. Okay, so on the PS4, we're just gonna head to our debug settings package installer. And then we should have our package file that we can select and install, and since it's the 1.31 version instead of 1.32 this time, we should get this installed and working. Okay, here we go, moment of truth. And it looks like it has successfully installed. So you can see here it still shows on the title ID and app version that we're on the base version. But if we hit options and we go to information, you can see we have updated to 131. So we're on 1.31 right now. The reason for that is that it just doesn't refresh. You can refresh by opening the browser and closing it again, and that now it does show that it's on 1.31 on the actual app there. So that's it. We have successfully updated it, and we can run this because version. Of course 131 will run on firmwares as low as 9.60, so 11.0. We'll be able to run the game with this update installed, even though we couldn't run it with 132 installed. And there we go, we are good to go. Now, there is one slight caveat about not being able to run newer updates, which is that if you're running a fake package version, that pretty much doesn't count. Because we have backports where people like CYB1K are able to actually dump a game that has the latest update, even though it's for a higher firmware and still backported to work on older firmwares like 11.0. But when it comes to retail updates, you are limited by whatever the latest firmware that update supports is. And if it's higher than 11.0, you'll have to install an older update like so that you can actually run the game with the installed update. But as you can see, the game is running here on update 131. So that is how you install your game updates for your retail games, and once you have them installed, you turn them into fake package files so that your fake package backup version has the same update installed. If you want to know how to do that, I've already done a video that goes over that. It'll along be linked with the playlist, which shows you all of the other tutorials I've made in the series so far about the 11.0 jailbreak. So definitely check that out. So that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it or find